And someone brought up a stat on Twitter. If I remember correctly, I think in the Leafs' first 5 games, their average shots against was 26. And it's been 5 years since the Leafs have had a 5-game span where their average shots against was 26 or less. So even beyond it being like a 5-game span from this season, it's the first 5 games. So like to me, if there is anything Leafs fans can look at from the season so far, and like the panic we had and the nerves we had, we talked about in our season preview, if there's anything we could have pointed to that we were afraid of, it was that. This team getting heavily outshot, getting in track meets, playing the wrong way that no one wants to see them play. This team has at least shown early on that they can play that way and they can win that way in a lower scoring game, playing better structure, and not giving us a heart attack every fucking night.
I'll even go one step further with that shot stat you brought up, Lepore. I actually looked this up earlier today. And it's like you said, the Leafs for the longest time have been a team that just gives up a ton of shots, gets into track meets, just based on the way they play, right? They're an offensive run and gun sort of team, and we've been dying for them to show some more defensive structure. I have been so impressed with this defense core this year, and a big part of that, and I know this stat doesn't show everything, but the Leafs are giving up less than 30 shots per game, and it's only been 7 games, but they are giving up less than 30 shots per game for the first time since 2009, 2010.
What?
That is absolutely insane. And you can go look at that 09-010 season. They were terrible that season. I think they finished like 15th in the Eastern Conference. But for this team to go an entire decade where they have been one of the worst teams in the league in terms of giving up shots, and for them this year to be under 30 shots per game, and right now I believe they're 8th in the league in terms of shots against per game. I was wondering
where they actually said. Like I said, I saw that.
Check that.
I saw that 26
right now are, yes, indeed. They are 8th in the league in shots against per game. So awesome. I've been really impressed with this defense core, and we've talked about this in the first 2 podcasts. Bringing in TJ Brody to play alongside Morgan Riley. I love the way that Brody's been playing. I mean, I've talked enough about Morgan Riley, but Brody's just been a solid presence. He's not making mistakes. And then that second pairing of Justin Hall and Jake Muzzin.
Justin Hall, dude, so good, man. He's, again, like so good, just doing what he's doing, being fine. Again, like calming. I'm so impressed with him. Such a pleasant surprise this year, man. He may be like, to me, he may be like the pleasant surprise of the year so far for Leafs fans. Like, again, just being reliable. And he's like that partnership with Muzzin, even too, like something I think is not getting talked about enough is that's a lot of size. Like on that second pairing, and the Leafs get shit on a lot for not having enough grit and sandpaper and size and that kind of attitude. But those 2 guys, man, like they take up a lot of space and they're not afraid to hit. Like even see the stuff after whistles that I love, man. Like I'm really starting to like that pairing really, really, really fast.
Yeah, and the thing with that pairing for me is that they're just going out there and not making any mistakes and just doing a really solid job. Because again, in the past, like we've talked about this before, you had Cody Ceci out there on the top pair with Morgan Riley. You had Martin Marincin playing, bottom pairing minutes. And now instead of having Martin Marincin out there for 12 or 13 minutes a game, you got Travis Dermott and Zach Bogosian. And it's not like they're going out there and, playing phenomenal hockey and, contributing a lot offensively, but they're just going out there and doing their jobs, not turning the puck over. They're moving the puck out of the zone efficiently. And I'm just really liking what I'm seeing. And you're seeing it in the statistics as well. And I think one area where the Leafs are struggling, which is kind of crazy to say, despite how great their power play has been, is their 5-on-5 offense, Lepore. I mean, This is one of the most talented teams in the league. And despite how well the power play has been chugging along right now, at 5-on-5, they're not where they want to be, and they're not where a lot of Leaf fans expect them to be.
Yeah. I've seen a lot of people post things about the underlying numbers and saying it should be just a matter of time. Like, I think there was some stat among players of a certain amount of shots, Matthews had like the worst shooting percentage in the league. And like, eventually, as we all know, it evens out. But I can't say that. I think like most Leafs fans, because we've seen that from them, that we're not too bothered by that, because like the scoring will come. Like this has been a really good 5-on-5 unit for a few years now. So I don't think they just forgot how to score goals. I wonder if what Keefe is doing, and I can't believe I'm saying this, I wonder if what Keefe is doing with the team early on, it's kind of like that Babcock thing in a similar way, where it seemed like those Babcock seasons early on, the Leafs were playing 100 miles an hour, these like 7-5 games, like just going absolutely bonkers. And then they would tighten up. It's like he'd step back and say, okay, I got to teach these guys how to play defense. And then they'd go totally boring for a few months. And then they'd kind of hit their stride again offensively later in the year, or at least try to. So I wonder if Keefe at this point of the season is just trying to slow things down. And maybe he just has the opinion of like, okay, like I have this talent up front. These guys can score goals. Let's buckle down. Let's get everything comfortable in the back. And then the scoring will come naturally because that's where our talent lies. Like, I mean, I can't get in the guy's head, but I mean, from what I'm seeing, I wouldn't be shocked if that's where his perspective's at.
No, that's a really good point, because I would much rather this team be struggling a little bit 5-on-5, but seeing on the flip side how well they're playing defensively, and how for the first time in forever, it just seems like they're a well-structured defensive unit. They're not making, the big mistakes that we've seen in years past. They're not giving up a ton of odd man rushes. And it's like you said, right? This team is talented and the scoring is going to come. Yeah. So even though they've been outscored 11-10, 5-on-5, at some point that's going to flip, because the scoring chances are there. The talent's there. And right now, if you can figure out a way to buckle down defensively and learn how to play that style, which we've seen time and time again be successful in the playoffs. And again, I said this about the Dallas Stars, right? This is exactly the way that they played, last season, and even going back the last few seasons, right? Yeah. And the same thing with the New York Islanders. And listen, I'm not saying the Leafs are as great defensively as those teams were over the last few seasons, but you need to learn to play a similar type of style. And I think when it comes down to the playoffs, one of the most important things is being able to play any type of style. So whether it's a tight game that you're hanging on late and you got to lock down defensively, or you do get into a run and gun sort of game against a high powered offense, you have to be able to be flexible. You have to adapt. You have to be able to win all sorts of games come playoff time. So I'm totally okay with the Leafs kind of struggling right now 5-on-5. And it's like you said, Lepore, I think it's only going to get better as the season goes on.